for the introduction, and I also wanted to introduce a couple of my colleagues. I've got Stephen Mitski, who's head of our Tech Ops here in the audience, and Sean Vincent, who's head of engineering and program management at FieldComm Group. So they'll be here in case you ask any tough technical questions that I can't answer. Also, if any specific dates, since my wife couldn't accompany me on this trip, they'll pick up where she would leave off and give you exact dates for everything. Exact dates for everything. Okay. Just trying to loosen the crowd up here. Anyway, thanks. It's great to be here. I think as you go through everyone's press conference, probably the first words out of everybody's mouth is great to be here. You know, it's good to be back. And I was just thinking, pre-COVID, this was the last professional event I attended. So it has been, I went to Hanover, Germany last week, which was great, and excited to see everybody back. But it's been about 2.5 years, since we've been here at ARC, and a lot has changed in 2.5 years. We've got a lot of accomplishments to talk about. So hopefully we'll give you a few things to write about here today. But just backing up a step, what have we been doing for 2.5 years? We are very focused, and we have a very simple mission, and that's digitalization of the process automation industry. And I always characterize this as a revolution that's got to be executed in an evolutionary way in our industry. But it truly is a revolutionary thinking and concepts and uses of data. But there's a lot of challenges to helping the process automation industry execute on digitalization. There's the installed base, for one. Valuable assets that end users aren't ripping out. There's economic factors and budget factors. There's training and workforce factors. There are cultural factors between bridging IT and OT, building next generation products and having them coexist with installed base and legacy products, new uses of data, applications, things like that. So there's a lot of elements that make it a challenge to evolve the industry to digitalization. And standards organizations have challenges as well. There's a lot of different standards organizations in the mix doing all kinds of different things. So that can be a benefit. There's a lot of new standards required, but it's also a challenge as well. So we're going to talk about that and how we're able to make them successful. But that's our mission. That's what we've been working on, is digitalization of the PA industry. And that's a pretty bold statement to make, that FieldComm Group is the forefront of digitalizing the process automation industry. But how are we able to make such a statement? How do we do that? It starts with the members of FieldComm Group, and I'll tell you that FieldComm Group is really, the membership is really everybody that's anybody in process automation is a part and a member of FieldComm Group. It's a great diversity membership of system suppliers and all kinds of hosts and asset management solutions, devices, big device suppliers, small device suppliers, all kinds of odds and ends, but there's a real core expertise around process automations and a strict focus. We are strictly focused on process automation. So I think the membership growth that we've experienced since FieldComm Group was started, from 331 to 400, is really a testament to the embracement of the mission, here at FieldComm Group, to digitalize the process automation industry. That growth, from a tactical perspective, we've penetrated a lot of different countries and regions. We get a lot of growth and new development of products from China and India, and we've really gotten a pretty balanced global participation in the membership right now. So that's been really good, and it's great to see those technologies grow in a lot of these different regions. But from a strategic perspective, I think the membership growth comes from another way, is that really the perception of the FieldComm Group brand has grown from simply being developer of field device communication protocols to really encompass a broader view as one of the thought leaders in terms of the technology direction for the process market. So we've expanded really into all areas of digitalization and have grown, through thought leadership around cloud, data uses, information models, integration, all these concepts we'll talk a little bit about today. But I think that's a key part of the participation in FieldComm Group for our industry. The members, they want to be a part of it, and they want to see us responding to their needs and the trends for the industry. So as a thought leader, FieldComm Group has developed a technology strategy around the needs and trends that we see for digitalization. And a lot of those changes are apparent. We'll have technology solutions we'll talk about. A lot of them I'm sure you're already familiar with, but Ethernet for one. Ethernet is much more prevalent with a lot of broad use in our plants and enterprises, growing and growing, lots of things connected. The merging of IT and OT, you've probably heard and will hear a lot about that at the conference this week, that there's a strong desire to bring those organizations together and work together and to create data structures to be of the same type, so data can easily exchange from the operations side to the IT side. So we've got to address these trends for really a holistic technology strategy and a model a model that works and helps the industry take advantage of the digitalization. So technologies developed here at FieldComm Group really fill these gaps and a lot of these challenges. And as I said, we've expanded from simply field device communication protocols over that time span that I put up earlier to integration with tools like FDI that throughout a product's life cycle will help integrate and interface that with host systems of all types. Semantic information through standard information models that generate a set of common data regardless of the device or the supplier or whose protocol it's on. We want to end up with a common data model and a data model that machine and applications can look at in binary form and compare data, not just human readable data. So a lot of semantic information. And then we'll talk a little bit about new products where we're working where we have direct device to cloud communication. So something of the future there. And working on these technologies, all keeping in mind the development of new technologies, but taking care of the install base and meeting users, where they're at, and to help bridge them to the future. In terms of execution, how do we get this done? We've really landed on a model that works quite well and I believe is essential for our industry. And the three pillars of success, I would say, are communication, collaboration, and integration. And I'll talk about each of these today. And when I mean success, I really mean success not for FieldComm Group, but success for the industry. Success to help the industry really come to some standards that make sense for their industry and that are widely adopted by everyone. So communication, that's really the core. You can kind of look at communication on two fronts. One side of it, I look at the communication with our members and our experts, the 400 members that are the experts through working groups and through our technology groups and through our volunteer network that we're able to really communicate with them, as well as in user groups to share requirements and use cases and things like this to develop. But of course, from our inception, communication has been a key, and we're talking about the digital communication too, which I guess originated with FieldComm Group with putting a digital signal over 4 to 20. So that was the origin in '93, and maybe there's still a perception by some that that's kind of what FieldComm Group's roots are, but really since then, in the age of digitalization, we have evolved to support lots of communication technologies from HART to field bus and new technologies emerging. So hopefully that 1993 perception of FieldComm Group has changed some over the years. With HART IP, we recently completed all the specifications, the security requirements, and test procedures and tooling to formally register HART IP products, HART IP field devices, and clients of all types. HART IP has been a key element, and we think it will play a key role in the future for digitalization. So we started upon a program this has resulted in called Heart of the 21st Century to get the speed and the performance to the standards of digitalization. So this is one of the things that we've completed over the last 2.5 years, and we're ready to take in and register Heart IP devices. So that's a key accomplishment. In the spirit of communications, I would be remiss if I didn't mention wireless HART. Wireless is a steady growing technology in our industry, and now we have wireless HART registered products. These are on the FieldComm Group website, where we have all the registered products for wireless HART, and we've got quite a diverse set of suppliers now selling and registering wireless HART products. So we see a good future for that as well. And I suspect you're already aware that we are completing with the Ethernet APL organization of standards organizations, the Ethernet APL STICO, of which we're a part of, as well as Profibus and OPC and ODVA. We're wrapping up, and the associated industry partners who are driving it, we're wrapping up the specifications for Ethernet APL physical layer. So this is a great accomplishment that, again, in the last 2.5 years that we're putting out, and you'll probably see some early products on Ethernet APL later this year. APL is a good enabler for HART IP, and we've got a lot of members that develop exclusively HART-based products, and it's consistent with the training and the data structures and the whole ecosystem for HART. So I think you'll see a variety of protocols running on Ethernet APL, and HART IP will be one of them for those reasons, but you'll see a lot of them. They can all coexist on the same wire, so it's going to be a really exciting technology, and will you'll give a lot of opportunity for some enhanced performance. Ethernet APL it's an enabling technology, of course, since it'll now support what we're talking about, bridging the IT and the OT, trying to bring those two together. And FieldComm Group has been working over the last couple of years now on a project we call NextGen, where we're developing a product that uses Ethernet APL and leverages a couple of technologies on top of it to build a field device of the future that will take advantage of this opportunity. A couple of the technologies, of course, are OPC-UA, which is widely adopted by users and identified by Namur as a key technology. So we're looking at OPC-UA native device, in other words, not another accompanying protocol, strictly OPC-UA. And then the second key technology residing in this next-gen area is PADIM, and this again is an information model. It's based on the OPC-UA information model for devices as a subset of it, and it's a subset that includes core parameters that are guided by Namur, and part of Namur Open Architecture. But it basically builds an information model that's standardized right on the device for direct communication to the cloud and in an IT data structure. So this has been a great initiative that we're wrapping up a certain phase of here shortly, and that's been led by Sean Vincent in called the Next Gen project. So Sean, I don't know if you want to make any comments about that, but congratulations to your Next Gen team for getting to that milestone. Great, thanks. And now we're using NextGen to basically accelerate the development of this technology solution, bridging IT and OT, and also to make sure that we understand the use cases and all the requirements for the process industry. As I mentioned earlier, we are strictly focused on the process, and our members have guided this whole project to make sure it fulfills their requirements. So we've got a good head start on a lot of work there, and we're currently putting our brains together with OPC Foundation, and we'll be harmonizing what we have. They've been focused primarily at this point on controller to controller communications. We've been focused on process automation requirements to devices. So we'll be working with them, and currently have sub-teams that are meeting together to reconcile use cases that with the FLC organization that they're working in, and the body of work that we've done at NextGen. So that we can come up as quick as possible with one solution to the industry that meets process automation requirements. So that's in a nutshell what the NextGen project has meant to us. So that brings me to the second part, or the second leg of the three-legged stool of the execution model, and that's collaboration. And I think it's probably the most important emphasis of being successful from a standpoint of the industry, not just standards organizations. But digitalization has it's created a lot of excitement, a lot of need, a lot of new standards that are needed. But there's some risk in that too, because us standards organizations, there's everybody wants to do everything. So you've created an opportunity where the scope of the standards that a standards organization are developing has been expanded, and there's a risk of bumping into each other. So collaboration is really the key and the way to solve that. And basically we need to sort out who does what where, so that we have the broad basis support of all of us and agreeing on standards, and not just creating different standards. So each of the organizations has their own core competencies and their own technologies and their own markets, and we just need to look logically at who should do what where, and work together for the good of the industry. And that's something that FieldComm Group really stands for and pushes. And we've collaborated for years with suppliers, and we've collaborated with users like Namur and ZVEI and other user-oriented groups. We have a lot of seminars and feedback with oil and gas companies in the Middle East. There's OPA Forum, and so SDOs have cooperated a lot with suppliers and with users, but it's imperative for the success of the industry that we cooperate with each other. So that's in our culture, and we think we've been one of the drivers and pioneers of that collaboration. And a model to that example has been FDI. Of course, FDI was developed years ago. My wife's not here, so I can't remember exactly when. but a long time ago. Maybe at least 10 years ago, I would guess. And this was developed by the industry partners that you see, and over a period of 5 years or so, they have developed most of the FDI solution. A few more tools and expansion of other protocols needed to be added. So FieldComm Group and Profibus partnered together in a collaboration to own and to drive the model and development for tools and the technology. Host tools, developer kits, things of this nature. Yep. Okay. Well, I started 2 minutes late. Okay. So anyway, FDI has been a great model of cooperation, and I'll show you a few slides, but it's really helped. We've really successfully driven the adoption in the process market for FDI and created a business model. Most of the development is finished now. We're doing enhancements, but now we've got revenue coming in on FDI that supports, and then some, the costs that we're incurring on the project. So it's a good example of a collaboration with Profibus, as well as putting together a business model and working together to drive adoption. And of course, the FDI spec, another key, is owned by also the OPC Foundation and the FDT group. So getting more and more standards organizations involved with ownership of these specifications is essential, really, to driving the adoption. So now from a technology standpoint, what we've done over the last couple of years is to expand to add other partners such as Ethernet IP, Modbus, and wireless, ISA 100 wireless. Now all through comm servers are compatible with FDI. So all these things with organizations and technologies help drive the adoption of FDI. One of the most important deliverables to the PA market, I think, over the last 2.5 years is this PADIM. PADIM being Process Automation Device Information Model, and this is really critical, because at the end of the day, in the cloud or in applications or hosts, you want the same information to reside, regardless of what communication protocol it came in on, regardless of the device supplier or the physical layer. You want the information to be the same, and that's essential for digitalization in our industry. So PADIM was hosted by FieldComm Group, and the spec has been completed and released, and it's widely demanded now by standards organizations as well as users group, and we're working on next generations of that. So PADIM is a part of the Namur open architecture, specified by them, and covers Namur core parameters. And Namur, during the development of the hosting at FieldComm Group, Namur was an active participant to make sure their requirements were included in the spec. So PADIM, another great example of the collaboration. And finally, the third leg of the three-legged stool is integration. Integration's a pretty broad catch-all term for managing devices that are connected to systems throughout their lifestyle, but we see it as key because of all the cats and dogs in the install base of the process automation. We need a 30-year-old HART device to project data and get data to the cloud when it sits right next to a brand new next generation field device. So pleased to report also in the last couple of years that we're really growing adoption of FDI. We register an FDI device package with every field device we register now, and we have over 100 registered packages from a lot of different suppliers. So a very broad-based adoption of FDI we've already seen in the industry. And it's not surprising that devices will be registered well ahead of host systems. The scope for a device is more limited, and the number of host suppliers are relatively small, but host registration is different. To achieve registration from a host, you've got to prove that it'll support a wide variety of instruments of all types from a number of suppliers. So host testing is very complex, a lot of test cases, and they have lagged the devices. But I am pleased also to report that we have just this year our very first registered FDI host, and that's Emerson's AMS device manager. So this is a great success and a great testament to the fact that FDI is here. And in closing, I just want to reiterate that the digitalization of the process automation market, that's our core mission, and communication, collaboration, and integration are really contribute to, their key ingredients to the model of success. So FieldComm Group is it's a cornerstone of continuity that leads these efforts for the process automation industry, that leads the digital revolution delivered in an evolutionary way. So thank you, and I guess I'm pushing it, and will entertain any questions offsite.